Lord, my Jesus, teach me how to fish.
Well, you've got two things wrong so far.
Oh.
I'm far from Jesus, and I love fishing, but I'm not that good at it, I don't think. First lesson, though, is picking your bait. You want good, it's like McCooney's. When you come here, you're taro. You don't want any beat-up piece of fish. You want primos. Did you hear that, Taro?
There's a Marilyn Monroe right there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna grab me one that's a good swimmer. He's gonna look good. We're gonna take that hook and right through the front of the eyes, front of the nose, right there.
Wow.
And then I just let him hang.
Beautiful.
And now from here, give him as much line as he can take. Just keep feeding him line, feeding him line. He's trying to take off. And as he's doing that, we're hoping he's attracting a bigger fish out there.
Hey Chris, good to see you.
Good to be here, man.
Oh,
Thanks.
man alive, what a day we are having. We are down, not just at the beach, we are out on the ocean.
This is it. This is paradise.
Yeah, it's pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing good right now.
How's this season been for you? The whole COVID, how's the family, how's life?
You know what? I honestly, and I know a lot of people have been hurt through this, and all of us by now are frustrated with it, we're done with it. But those first couple months was a little bit of a gift. I told our staff, see it as a gift. You know, I've never had a year or a time where all your events get canceled, all your travel is canceled. Mm-hmm. And I said, man, let's focus on our walk with God, let's focus on our family, and let's focus on sharpening your A gift, whatever that is. So the first couple months were good, but like everyone else, we're done now.
Okay.
Done with it. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, because you're a social animal. You love being around the people. Yeah, you do. Look at that. Yeah. So how are you coping with not being with so many people?
And you know what? For an extreme extrovert, I don't have to have the crowds. I just have to have people.
Yeah.
So just, you know, even with our office staff, it was kind of a ghost town around our campus, like most churches. But even that staff, just building into that, it was good. You do miss the crowds, not an ego thing, but you miss the affirmation, the life change, seeing what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you're speaking to a camera every weekend and you can't see life change, you can't see what God's doing in lives. None of us signed up to speak to cameras.
That's right. We're like shepherds without sheep. It's
exactly
just weird.
Yeah, we're doing sheep by Zoom, and I'm like, I think the sheep are good. They look kind of chubby. I think they got wool. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just not the same.
It's not the same. So help me, Chris. You're a good friend, and we need good news at the moment. America needs good news, and we are in the search of good news, finding good news, and I thought you could probably help me, okay? So I'm an American now, 5 years.
Wow.
Okay, 5 years. Hard to believe. Still
You're
got the
like
accent.
just beyond a toddler. You're just a little bigger than an American toddler.
Whoa. Well, the interesting thing is I could probably go for citizenship quite soon. So I thought I would talk to you about that.
Okay, first of all, give me your best American accent.
Oh, gee, honey, how you doing?
Yeah. We might wait on that citizenship for a little bit longer.
Okay. or a Valley girl, totally awesome. Super good.
Is this how we sound when we mock you?
Oh my goodness. It's when people come up to you and go, oh, I totally love your accent. Do I have an accent? I go, are you for real? Are you for real?
So you've been here 5 years at Bayside already.
5 years.
Wow.
It's hard to believe. I mean, absolutely loving it. I mean, there's days I still miss, Irish potatoes, chips, proper chips.
Oh, fish and chips. What do you miss most?
Do you know fish and chips is one of the things?
Yeah.
I mean, real fish. When you see it, advertised or on a menu here, you go,
Yeah, it ain't gonna be.
Yeah, that's never gonna be.
Yeah.
Like, you can taste the fish. It's caught that day. We're an island, so they go out and catch the fish that morning.
Yeah.
They bring it into a fish and chip shop. So that's all they do is sell fish and chips.
And your chips are different than our chips.
They're real chips.
They're real chips. Explain to me what a real chip
A
is.
real chip. The Irish and our love affair with potatoes. It's what keeps us alive.
Yeah.
And so it's not like the skinny French fries or anything like that. They're chips. So not chips like we call those crisps.
Yeah. Wedges.
Yeah. So, well, no, they're chips. Like, I mean, you get them over here in some restaurants. Chunky, big potato
Chips.
And that's our chips.
Not French fries.
Not French fries.
Thunky.
Yeah. So, Chris, help me with this. I mean, America is having a moment. I mean, you go on social media, it's like the country is pulling itself apart.
Yeah.
And I just thought, Chris, you're a man of God, you're a real good Christian, you're a smart guy, and you live in San Diego, you're quite chilled. So help me with some questions in this whole world of finding some good and finding some answers. And this is what I want to talk about. How do we find good when we disagree?
Yeah.
Okay? So I flying down here the other day, it's my first flight since March. So I got like mask on, I've sanitized my hand, I've got a bright orange jumpsuit on. I mean, I'm more like ready to go on a space shuttle.
You ready to catch one of these? Airport's just right over here in San Diego.
So I'm like, I am COVID ready, protected, and everyone else is doing the same.
You have to.
Yeah, except this one guy, big burly guy, and a muscle top on, no mask, and a huge America first on his back.
Yeah.
And is that guy going to heaven? Let's be honest with me.
Well, if I know anything about airlines right now, that guy's not going to his destination, I'll tell you that. Now, eternal destination, I have no idea. I will say this, though, and I know people, you're just judging. Like, okay, yeah, and I am. If that guy was making a stink about it and fighting, I don't have to put a mask on and my thing, I go, he may be a Christian, but he wasn't acting like it.
Yeah.
And I know that's where people are like, whoa, you can't say that. And I go, no, the Bible makes it very clear. We are supposed to judge each other. Be careful how you judge, because you will be judged, but we're supposed to be fruit inspectors. We look at each other's lives and go, man, are we being Christ-like? And in areas we're not, we're supposed to encourage and equip each other. So I watch right now, and that's the problem. You can't tell who's a Christian and who's not when it comes to our politics, because the politics is getting in the way. And some people say patriotism, but patriotism is a love of country, hopefully love of God. We're not talking about patriotism, we're talking about politics. And there used to be two sides, and now there's probably 27 sides of every issue. And with this COVID stuff that's happened, with the race stuff that's happened, with where we are politically, with going into now this election cycle, what is truth? Talk about the virus. Give me 10 truths about the virus, and I bet you can't.
Yeah.
You're going to give me 10 things you believe to be true or what you've heard from your sources, but we can give you 30 truths that are opposite.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating part right now. People are frustrated, and it shows.
Yeah. But what's the Christian response? What is it at the moment? How can Christians be still patriotic?
Yep.
Have a political viewpoint, and yet rise above it and try and show something different.
And I think just your definition of that question nailed it. What is a Christian response?
Yeah.
Everyone has a response. And before we give our response, we have to go, wait, what's the Christian response? Because 9 times out of 10, my response to whatever the issue is in front of me is not a Christian response.
Yeah.
It's not. It comes from my frustration, my angst, this season that we're in, our political system. I have a response, and as a Christ follower, I cannot afford to respond before stopping and saying, now, how's this go through a Christian filter? And the answer to that shows we got to have the main priority, and we can't have our politics be our priority.
Yeah.
Because then you'll never respond right.
Yeah.
You get down to the last week of Jesus' life. He enters Jerusalem, the big fanfare, the crowd is cheering, they're throwing down their cloaks, palm branches, save us now, come with power.
Yeah.
The religious leaders realize, man, we got to get rid of this guy. How do they trap him in the temple courts? Their big trap was, let's get Jesus talking about politics. Because they knew back then, 2,000 years ago, what we know today. You know how to get a Christian out of the Christian arena? Get them talking about their politics. And I think Satan has the exact same thing. Let's get Jesus talking about politics. Do we pay taxes to Caesar or not? It's a lose-lose. If Jesus says to the hotbed political issue of the day, yes, pay taxes, he's going to lose the crowd. People are going to hate him.
Yeah.
If he says, you don't have to pay taxes, then Rome will kill him. So he's got no answer. And that was the world, that was Satan's choice of how do you trap Jesus, get him talking about politics. How do you get a Christian out of being a Christian today? Get him talking about their politics. And yet Jesus' response gives us the answer we need today. Someone give me a coin, a denarius.
Yeah.
Whose inscription is on that? Whose stamp is on it? Caesar.
Yeah.
Well, give to Caesar what's Caesar's, give to God what's God's. And at first, what seems like a cop-out to the religious leaders in the temple, they all knew exactly what Jesus said. What Jesus said is, you're going to do politics? Before you do politics, go to page 1 of the Bible. You use a coin that has the image of Caesar, and on the back, Pontifex Maximus, High Priest of Rome. And this is what the Jewish people are just up in air about.
Yeah.
And Jesus says, but it's got his image on the coin. If you've got a political image, you've got an authority over you, just make sure you don't mess up the other image. Give to God what's God's. Page 1 of the Bible says we are all created in the image of God. In the image of God, he created us, both male and female. We are created in his image, in his likeness. So what Jesus is saying is, look, don't try to trap me with politics. The image of God that's stamped on your life, that you were bought and paid for by the blood of Jesus, that will never, ever be tarnished by whatever political image you have in your pocket. Whatever side of the coin you're playing, you have a greater image in your life that will always trump, no pun intended, will always Biden whatever political party you have. And that's why when you go, what is your response? Christians have to understand there will be no Democrats in heaven. There will not be. There will be no Republicans in heaven. And this is when you talk about your patriotism, what we have to understand, there will not be any Americans in heaven.
Yeah.
Heaven will be a theocracy. It'll be Christ's followers. It's not a democracy. It's not a political system.
Yeah.
So the only thing on this side of heaven we should be worried about is who's going and who's not.
Yeah. But the Irish will be in heaven because
it'll be a lesser cloud.
We're running the party.
You're on the party.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
you guys are serving the
first
drinks.
couple of million years, you know what I'm saying? So, but how can someone today be an American? Because this is a great nation.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous nation. So how can someone be an American and still love God? Where does America end? And where does the kingdom of God start? Or is it layers? Or is it circles within circles? Or
it's not even a close first and second. You know, it's today we got to fish a little bit. We got to catch some fishermen. I have never go, well, where does Chris being a fisherman and me being married to my wife? You know, where's me and a fisherman and me being a husband? And I'm like, if you're wrestling with that question, you've got serious issues. We've got different levels of authority in our life. We've got bosses, we may have owners, we have vice presidents, a CEO, we have a political system just like the Jerusalem was under in that day. But what Jesus did is you have an image that is so far greater that everything else is under. Do not ever let the lesser image, the lesser authority, don't ever let Chris the fisherman get in the way of Chris being a husband. If me being a fisherman ever interferes in my marriage, I shouldn't sit down and go, oh, but I'm passionate about both. No, you're an idiot because you've got your priorities really screwed up.
what does this do for you? What does this do for Chris Bryant?
This is where I breathe deep. Usually not with people, cameras around, usually going further offshore. The ocean is where I start to feel really, really small. And it's good for a man to feel really, really small. It's a reminder, you're not it. I don't care who you are on shore. I don't care where you are on stage or how big the crowd. The further I get out, the more I'm reminded how small and insignificant I am. That everything out here would love to eat me. And I get to be in this creation, this passion. I mean, this is where I just start breathing deep. And this is good. There's times where my wife will look at me and she's like, you need to go fish.
Yeah, that's true.
She can tell the weight's starting to get on me.
Yeah.
And out here, I can just get some of that weight off. And usually out here too, with a couple buddies, good conversation, but a lot of times no conversation.
Yeah.
You're not talking over the roar of the boat. You're not mic'd up. So you just get lost in the vastness of ocean and creation. That's good.
Are you more fully alive in the pulpit or right here, right now? When you're out fishing by yourself in your kayak? When are you most fully alive?
If I'm most fully alive in the pulpit, it's because I've had enough of these moments to put the fuel in the tank. And if I'm most fully alive out here, it's because I've had enough drainage on the land to make this worth something. What would I rather do? This is easy. Which one would you rather give up? If you had to give up one for the rest of your life, I'd give up fishing in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You don't think about it. Which means then when I'm teaching, when I'm doing ministry, I'm fully alive because that's what I was truly made for.
Yeah.
This just gears me up for that.
Yeah.
I was at a conference in North Carolina. And when I got done, they said, hey, do you want to go over to Joe Gibbs Racing? Are you big into NASCAR? I go, I'm not big into NASCAR, but I like watching cars go around the track, especially when there's a lot of smoke and
turning
pieces.
left
Yeah.
and turning left and turning left.
So we go over, and I have no idea about NASCAR. It is a huge warehouse. I mean, I thought we'd go to a little garage. It is football fields of garages.
Wow.
He's got 4 different numbers, 4 different cars that race. Each car has between 30 to 60 cars in development for each one car. I just thought there was like 1 car and 3 in case you get it banged up. And so I'm learning about this, and then we come down to all the decals they're wrapping on the car.
Yeah.
The M&M car. M&M on the side, M&M on the hood, and there's a bunch of little stickers all over, and I'm like, well, how much does it cost to get your sticker on a car? Like, what does M&M have to pay to sponsor a car? And at that time, Farmer Insurance had just sponsored a car, and he goes, I think $660,000.
Wow.
I go, so you have to pay $660,000 a year to get your sticker, you being the main brand. He goes, no, that's a race. Every race.
Wow.
Lower cars, maybe not as high profile, $300,000 to $600,000 to be the main sponsor every race. So, Mike, next question is simple. What about the little stickers on the back, the little ones down by the bumper?
Yeah.
You know, because I want my church to be on it.
The Bayside one.
I thought it'd be cool to have a Bayside car going around the track, and I'm like, so can we get Bayside on a bumper? He goes, oh, the little stickers, you can be a little sticker for about $75,000. He goes, but they're placed on the back, they're placed on the bumpers, places that don't get a lot of camera time. And that's exactly where we are politically today. That's exactly what Jesus did in the temple. Christian, if you ever get confused where your sponsorship lies, you've got a major issue with your priorities. You are made in the image of God. Not only did he create us, he sent his son to die for us just to buy us back. We are stamped with his decal. It is a Christ-ian. The rest of my life, I'm supposed to show Christ and loving others.
Yeah.
Now, it's okay to be a fisherman. It's okay to be a Patriot fan. It's okay to be a Dodger fan. It's okay to be a Democrat. It's okay to be a Republican. We got stickers for a lot of other things we're passionate about, but you'll never see in NASCAR. The little stickers are never put on top of the M&Ms. Never. Because that's the sponsorship. That's the sponsorship. And over the next 2 months, our Christianity is going to be stretched for a lot of people because their political sticker is going to get in the way of the image of God they're made in. Jesus will die that week. He wasn't afraid of Rome. He wasn't afraid of speaking about politics. You say, well, if he said something wrong, Rome would have killed him. He came to Jerusalem to die. He didn't fear them. He was just going to choose what to die for. And that final week of his life, when they said, you talk about politics, he goes, I'm going to come here and die for people, not politics.
Yeah.
And we will have Christians, unfortunately, in the next couple months that will sacrifice their character on the hill of politics, not people. And when your politics ever gets in the way of showing love to people, regardless of what party they're from, regardless of what point of view, if your politics ever gets in the way of loving someone because of your response, because of your answer, then you've got the wrong stickers on the hood.
Wow.
And that's what Jesus did that last week.
See, my observation of those, the synoptic gospels, John, all their writings was Jesus, his main contention, well, it was never with Rome.
Yeah.
It was with religious people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when he really pulled out, you brood of vipers, all of that stuff, you snakes. But talk to me just about this, Chris, because there's great people out there. They love you, okay? They listen to you. You're normally the sage on the stage, but right here we are. They're watching on Zoom and on their laptops, wherever. What about the people out there that are going, but we feel duty bound to speak into Rome? We feel duty bound. Okay.
You should, and that's what I implore my church. If you're a Christian and you're not involved in the political arena right now, shame on you. Our voice needs to be heard. But how? Why are we still here? You know the Lord, you're going to heaven. I know the Lord, I'm going to, so why are we still here? Just to learn to be better, to work for him? No, my salvation is ironclad. So why are we left here? To influence others. What Jesus says is you're going to be salt, you're going to be light, you're going to be a city on a hill. People should look at you and go, that's different. Man, that's different.
Salt and
you
light.
should be salt. And instead, we're going to be vinegar and lasers in this season. We're going to be sour. We're going to be slicing people. And so I'm not saying don't get involved in politics. It should be a sticker on the car, and it's an important one for our country. How you doing it How you in doing it? How you in doing it? How you do that should never get in the way of the M&Ms. You've got to do it. So I always challenge North Coasters in our church, be involved, speak your mind, vote. But when you do that, whatever you post, whatever you're saying, whatever you're tweeting, people should look at that and go, man, that was done lovingly. Wow, that was a good point, but man, they did that so graciously. Where's our grace, mercy, and love in how we respond? Because if you can't see grace, mercy, and love in your response, then it is not Christ-like.
Yeah.
And then your politics is getting in the way of people. Because whoever it is you're going against, you're fighting for something that's temporary.
Yeah.
You know, they're Democrat, Republican, Trump, Biden, temporary, decay. Within 100 years, gone. Christianity and those that are following Christ will be eternal. That's what we got to be about. So yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. It's not that we don't get involved, it's how we get involved.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that if a Christian is a Democrat, it's going to be a struggle for some people. If a Christian is a Republican, wow, they carry the image of God. So we got to see not a political party in other people, we got to see the very image of God. They carry God inside of them. So people, they all carry the image of God, but what we find now is people with their strong opinions, there's so much offense taken.
Yeah.
Christians are getting offended, and it's almost like another subject that we should explore. They're going on social media, they're sharing their opinion and causing offense, and then they're sharing their offense as well. What do we do with this level of offense that's coming in? People running around wounded and then retaliating.
When hurting people hurt people. And there's a lot of hurting people right now because of the state of our nation. And because we've been so closed down, because you've taken away our crowd, our movie theaters, our restaurants, our golf, you know, our fishing, now it's open, but we took away our comfort, our releases, it's pent up, and all that energy is just looking for a lightning rod to leash out against. But I mean, in all honesty, the last 3 months, I've had more personal attacks than my first 30 years. I've been in ministry 30 years this year. In the last 3 months, more personal hits than in the last 30. Not a single one of those came from the non-Christian community. All those came from Christians. Now, I'm not going to blame them. I'm not holding it personally. I get it. People are hurting. They're tired. They're frustrated. They feel like there's government overreach one way or another. We're trying to make decisions based on a large church just like you guys. It's not that simple, as you know. And none of us were ever trained to lead through a pandemic, a virus, and racial tension like this.
I didn't get that class.
No. And so we're doing our best, and doggone it, I'm falling short, and Christians are blasting us.
Yeah.
And that's where I got to step back and go, people, this encouragement to see the big picture is also where you find your encouragement and your joy.
Yeah.
Because then you look at this and go, whoever wins this election, it's just an American election.
Yeah.
Whoever is right, wrong about this virus, whoever started it, whatever conspiracy theory, or maybe it was just a flu that was overrated, or it's a deadly thing that we're protecting people from, whatever the truth ends up being one day, if we ever know it, I just look and go, that was a blip on the radar in American history. What I was about and what I held on to was eternal. And my joy is not going to be taken away in the next 2 months because of a political party, because my joy isn't found in a political party. My encouragement and hope is not going to be put in when the government opens up, when schools open up, and what happens in the next 4 to 6 months. Because my hope and joy isn't in the government and its choices. And so that was the beauty of Paul going to the churches in the New Testament, telling them, I'm going to preach Jesus and Jesus crucified. I'm not going to talk about the politics, the racism, the slavery of the day, because those things are temporary. Christian, you need to be involved in that. But if you're anchored to a hope and joy that's never going to leave you, then your hope and joy never leaves. Don't put it in the political system.
Great, great. So is this a time for offended Christians in America to really embrace that? I mean, let's just think about it. That teaching from 2,000 years ago, there he is on a hillside, or maybe he's out of a boat on the lake, Sermon on the Mount, he's probably on the mount sitting there, and he's saying, turn the other cheek. Go the extra mile, and actually give someone your cloak. Give them everything. Just give them more than what they ask for. How do we live that out today? Is that a word? Was Jesus speaking to us at that moment?
Yeah, and he's speaking to this moment in the American church. And what Jesus understood on that, his whole purpose for why he loved, why he taught, why he did miracles, who he died for, was that people will never be your enemy. They may be persuaded by the enemy, they may be following the enemy's plans, but people will never be your enemy. And Christians right now have to see whoever you're angry at, whoever's making the wrong choices, whoever's on the other side of the political issue, whoever's on the other side of the pandemic from you, those are not our enemies. Those are people we are sent here to win over. You know, we want to win the argument, and we're supposed to win the people. And that's what we've got to straighten out, and that will help temper our response. Because then I can read the most asinine comments. Then I can read the issue that's so violently opposed to where I stand, and I go, wow, that's someone that's thinking wrong on this. How do I win that person? Not the argument.
Yeah.
Not the argument. No Democrats, no Republicans in heaven, so why are we making that the fight?
Yeah.
How do I win Democrats and how do I win Republicans? Because there'll only be Christ followers in heaven. And that helps temper my response, and that also helps me run a filter when I'm getting attacked to turn the other cheek and go, man, how much bitterness must be in that person's life if this is how they respond even to their pastor?
Yeah.
I mean, you wrote that email to your pastor. How hurting are you right now?
Yeah.
Because Old West Texas Chris wants to come out and play. And man, I'm good with words, and I can tear people up. And that has been an Achilles heel of my life forever. And I've learned just to stop and go, how hurting are you in life if this is how sour and bitter your response is?
Yeah.
Wow, the enemy's got a foothold on a lot of people right now. So how do I return grace and mercy instead?
Yeah. So Chris, probably the one really easy thing for me at the moment is I don't have a dog in this fight. I can't vote. But if I could vote, who should I vote for? Come on, tell me right now.
I'll tell
All
you.
the viewers, they want to hear. Who should I vote for?
Right now I'm telling our people there's only one party you vote for, and that's the Christian party. And there's not one represented. We have amazing men and women of God in our church that are Democratic. And they're going to show you scripturally, biblically, why they're Democratic. Of the cause for the poor and the cause for the hungry and the weak and the whatever. We've got amazing men and women of God that are Republican, and they're going to show you biblically why they are voting Republican and for each candidate. And there is not a Christian party, and I think that's the point. And so I don't tell people, you go vote with the Holy Spirit's led in your heart and your conscience according to what you think Christ would do.
Right.
And you've got to allow, because there isn't a Christian party to go, and I see why you see it differently.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it, but I get how you got there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point. Everyone wants to know, as a Christian, what is this? And I go, maybe there's not a Christian vote here, folks. Maybe it's, what do Christians look like in the midst of the politics that God cares more about than how you vote?
Oh, look at this here. We got something, people.
There you go.
It's a fish. It's not even it's
the rock bed. Here, bring him up over here. We got a little rocky.
Did you see that? Did you see that? We'll call that one Andrew.
Okay, now here's how you take a picture with the fish. Turn around the camera, and you put that fish as far out as you can. See if they can cover your head, so you can say, man, it's half my size. We're gonna let him go. Go get some friends.
Should we keep him here? Is he still kicking?
Yeah, drop him. Well, let's get another one on and drop it down. Just take it off, drop it. Let's see what we can.
Reminds me of soccer, you know, that game the world plays.
No.
Yeah, it's an incredible game. But in the 2006 World Cup final, you might remember this, the greatest player on the planet at that time was Zinedine Zidane. He was in the World Cup final. His
Okay,
team...
I hate to pop your bubble. I've never heard of him.
Okay, that's okay. But you might remember the moment because, I mean, it's a World Cup final. It's the most prestigious sporting event in the world, the most watched, the World Cup final. And it's France against Italy, and he... comes into a conflict, Zinedine Zidane, the French guy, with the Italian guy, and the Italian guy says something to him. We don't really know what he said, but apparently it was about his mother and stuff. And Zinedine literally lost the head and headbutted the guy on the field.
I know the scene.
You know the scene.
Red card.
Red card. It was the last game of his career. The greatest person on the planet at that moment in time. Technically, he won the argument.
Yeah, here you go.
Because he threw the head into him. But he lost the World Cup. He lost the World Cup. And I feel it's kind of like that at the moment with a lot of people. We're more about winning the argument than we are about winning, well, let's just call it the lost.
You did.
Which is the goal.
Your political sticker got so important to you, you put it over the M&Ms.
Yeah.
And you lost your sponsorship. That's not what you were supposed to be about. It's okay to have those stickers. It's okay to have those passions. But you never, ever lose page 1 of the Bible. You are created in the image of God. In His likeness, He created male and female. And then the price that Jesus paid to put that image, that sticker, to be Christian on our lives, when we let our Democratic, our Republican, our coronavirus, COVID point of view get in the way of that, we've lost the race.
Yeah.
Christian, we've lost the race, and we've allowed the temporary to interfere with the eternal.
So practically then, 1 Peter 2:17, 4 things that Peter says to a persecuted church, not a pressurized church, persecuted church. He said, what I want you to do is treat everyone with respect. I think we could all hopefully go, check, kind of, hopefully in social media. I know. Lord, help me to do that better.
You got more faith in people than I do, but I hope.
Okay, well, come on, everyone. Let's
check that box.
Yeah, let's treat everyone with respect. Let's love all the believers.
Yes.
Yeah, that's even a challenge at the moment. Fear God. And then the last one is honor the emperor, who was Nero.
Yeah.
I mean, the man was a dog. He was a lowlife. Even like by emperor standards, this guy was like a new level of low.
Yeah.
How does a Christian that morning in November, how do they honor the person they didn't vote for?
By understanding he is not your enemy. Mm-hmm. You fight a greater enemy than people. People we are here to save, never to be our enemy. Mm-hmm. And so you look at that and go, okay, God, you're going to need to change my heart. And how do I honor and respect that? Now, we live in a free country where you can still speak against it, you know, and that's part of being in our country.
Yeah.
But how you speak against it, you do with honor and respect to the presidency and the office. And you do. Hey, I'm sorry, just the same way you ask kids to honor and respect your parents. Even now, I still honor and respect my mom and dad. There are many times I have disagreed with them, and I've done what's best for my family against what my mom and dad wanted. But in the way I've done that at this point, I do it with such honor and respect. Mm-hmm. Mom, Dad, I love you. I know you'd wish that we come out and we do the holiday with you. Let me tell you why we can at this time. Mm-hmm. What's best for me and Amy and our kids and what we're doing. But here's how we're going to try to make it up. Yeah. But I will respectfully disagree, and I will show great honor by how I disagree. Yeah. So it's not blindly going along with it. It's not becoming, a doormat. Yeah. Because Jesus had a lot of authority in his life that you go, how do you do that with honor and respect? Yeah. He turned over tables and chairs. He didn't turn over people, He ripped apart the furniture at times, but he didn't go after the Pharisee. Yes. And so I look at that and go, okay, that's how I wake up that next morning and go, God, it's temporary. Mm-hmm. Don't let my heart and soul get so caught up in the temporary I lose the eternal. Yeah.
So, Chris, if you could say one thing, I know you've said it's brilliant stuff.
I've said the same thing 8 times now.
Oh, no. It's been so good. If you could say one thing to the church in America now, just as, like a closing thought. If you're pastoring America, what would you say to them right now?
Where is your hope and joy found? This is a self-talk for me. I took 2 weeks. I'm now a week away from taking 2 weeks where I just had to unplug. I had to get away from all Fox News, all CNN News, all BBC News. I had to get away from all social media because I felt it. Mm-hmm. I'm not a down guy. You've known me for a long time. We've hung out. I don't do depression. I don't do being down. I'm an eternal optimist. But Andrew, I felt it about 4 weeks ago. I couldn't get rid of the weight and heaviness. That you have a bad day. You have something going on bad in the church.
You go fishing.
It's a 3-5 day period, whatever. We can get through it. I couldn't get away, and I've never had that in my life. And I was like, is this depression? Is this what people feel? Wow. It was foreign to me. And I got back into the Word, and I got back into Psalm 73, the chief worship leader of Israel, Asaph. He goes, you want to know how I almost blew it?
That's right.
17 pronouns he used in the next 14 verses. He goes, I started focusing on them, they, them, they, them, their, them, they, their, them, they, them, and they. 17 times he said, I started focusing on the world. All the news that was in front of me, the social media, I was getting so frustrated. He goes, I got depressed. And once I got depressed, I started looking at me. Now he changes the pronouns. For the next 8 verses, he goes, I started going, maybe I've kept my way pure in vain. It's not working for me. I've done this. It's not paying off. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not. I, me, I, me. Mm-hmm. He goes, this became oppressive to me until I entered the sanctuary of God and looked up. And then I remembered how slippery you put everyone on the slippery ground. How temporary. We're a mist of vapor, here today, gone tomorrow. I forgot why I'm here. I got so caught up in the political system, the COVID system, this season, it consumed me. Looking at the world and looking at myself, I left myself depressed and frustrated.
Yeah.
Until I realized, whom do I have on earth, and what do I have in heaven but you?
Yeah.
I was like a brute beast before you, oh God.
Yeah.
So now, here's all I'm focusing on, the end of Psalm 73. I will put my hope and trust in how near I am to you. You are my refuge, and I will tell of all of your deeds.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Christian, if Bayside, one thing to leave you with has a 1A, 1B, and 1C. Your walk with God, your hope, refuge, all your security in life is going to be found in God, and then you will come back to, I have a purpose here.
Yeah.
But if you're walking in the world, I guarantee you, you're walking further and further from God. Then you're not going to have your hope and your joy rooted in Him. It's going to be in how is life going, how's the election going, how's your marriage going, how are the finances going, and then you're going to lose your purpose. Mm-hmm. This is the worship leader for the entire nation of Israel, and he said, I just about lost my job because I got so caught up in social media and the political system, I lost my purpose and joy.
Uh-huh.
And man, it took me 2 weeks to unplug, 2 weeks to I stopped looking at everything, just kept back to, who am I and what am I created to do? I'm a missionary to the U.S.
Wow.
So why am I letting the politics of the U.S. get in the way of my mission field? Mm-hmm. Oh, Chris, you're an idiot. Come back to loving people who hate you, because that's your call. Yeah. Coming back to loving people who hate what you stand for or against, because that's what you're supposed to do. And then you're going to share of His deeds because you found your purpose. And I guarantee you, you will wake up the morning after the election with a smile on your face, and it wouldn't matter who won, because it won't touch your purpose, your goal, and where your joy and hope is.
Fantastic, Chris. Chris, thank you for talking to me. I've always loved this nation. I didn't like America's scary face there for a while, but
it's going to get worse, Andrew. I'm dead serious. Our country is not getting better. Morally, it's not getting better. Ethically, it's not getting better. Racially, it's not getting better. And politically, it's not getting better. And there's not an election cycle that if the right people win, it's all about to get better. It will not get better. So if that's where you're putting your stickers, you will lose the race before you ever start. So I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Oh, it's brilliant. Well, I actually think I love America even more now because I feel hope in my heart. So, I mean, you've lit something inside of me. So thank you so much, my friend. I love you too. You're a great guy. Please.
Likewise.
Let's keep fishing.
You want to take the boat back out?
Come on.
Call them up.